Hi, are you interested in learning how to transform your web design into beautiful HTML code? If so, you came to the right place. Welcome, my name is Andreas Judd, your tech-curious web designer. I am passionate about the front end, the back end and all that jazz. In this short video series, we will transform a design into a responsive and interactive HTML page using two great front-end tools, TailwindCSS and Alpine.js. So Tailwind is a CSS framework which uses utility classes to style the HTML code to our desired look and feel on the fly. Once you get the hang of it, it's super fun to use, fast, and much more flexible than other frameworks like Bootstrap or Materialize. Alpine.js, on the other hand, is a JavaScript library which makes it super easy to implement some simple interactivity to the page without the need to write any custom JavaScript or the use of a complex framework like React or Vue. Both of these technologies have the locality of behavior approach, which is a design pattern which aims to keep related code and functionalities together rather than spreading it out into different external files in order to make the code easier to understand and to modify. I'm a big fan of this locality of behavior approach, and I will show you step by step how to implement it. This tutorial is super beginner friendly. Some knowledge of HTML and CSS would be great, but definitely not required. If this sounds interesting to you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also click the bell icon to get notified when I upload new content. Follow me also on Twitter and Instagram at @ajudmeister. If you want to also support me financially, I will be super grateful. I set up a Patreon page at this link where you can become my Patreon, or you can also buy me a coffee at this link. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. And now, without further ado, let's dive in. In this video series, I will show you how to build a web page with Tailwind CSS and Alpine.js. If you're not familiar with those two technologies, Tailwind CSS lets you add CSS to a website using predefined classes. As you can see here in this example, instead of declaring a class named box, we write the properties as classes directly in HTML. One big advantage of this versus other frameworks like Bootstrap is that you can completely customize the look and feel of your elements on the fly and don't have to know the names of the classes of all the different Bootstrap components. The other technology is Alpine.js, which lets you write JavaScript directly inside the HTML. Instead of attaching many lines of JavaScript at the bottom of the page or in an external file, we can add some simple syntax directly to the HTML. Alpine is super lightweight and is great for simple interactivity on the page. So what we're going to build in this tutorial is a very simple plugin page with a header, navigation and drop-down menu, a hero section, an animated button, content cards and a sidebar. We will also make it fully responsive with collapsing navigation and collapsing sidebar, and we're going to use Alpine.js for this, and you will see how easy it is to implement it without writing any JavaScript. So to start, we need to install a code editor. My preferred editor is Visual Studio Code by Microsoft because it gives you all what you need and it's also free. Download it from the website and then we are good to go. Let's create a new folder. Let's call it HTML. And now drag and drop this folder into Visual Studio Code. There we go, we can see the folder here under Explorer. Now let's add a few extensions to our environment. So the last icon here is for extensions. The first extension I have here is auto rename tag. This basically renames the closing tag in case I change the starting tag. So this is a quite useful little plugin. Another extension I have here installed is HTML CSS support. It gives me nice highlights in my HTML syntax. Then I have here OneDark Pro. This is the theme I'm using. So if you want that your code looks like mine, you should install this extension. And another extension I would recommend is the TailwindCSS. It shows me the available TailwindCSS classes. Alright, these are all the plugins we need for this project. Let's go back to our project folder and we close the tab. So let's start now with creating our file. So we go in here. The first icon here is to create a new file and we call it index.html. So here let's add a boilerplate code. So this is code which is standard on every HTML page. We can just write HTML and here we see it gives us some options. So I select the second option, so HTML column 5, and it gives me these lines of code. So here we change the title. The title of our project is Awesome. Okay, now let's add Tailwind CSS to this page. Let's go to the official website and grab the code from there. Here we click the Get Started button. There are a few options available how to install it on the page. I'm using the Play CDN option here because it only requires one line to put on the page, and it's this line here. I just copy it and we add it here in the head, like that. So now we are ready to add our first design element. So at first let's create the header bar. So the header has the logo on the left hand side with an icon and the name. And on the right hand side we have the navigation with home, create post and avatar with username. Alright, let's get to it. So first let's add the structure here in the body. So this element is called header. And in here we have the logo element with the name Awesome. And we have the navigation element. The tag for navigation is nav. Navigation. Alright, let's add some classes now to the header. So we have a dark gray background. So we write BG for background, gray, the color, and then we have the shading of 800. The higher this number, the darker the shading. All the documentation of these classes you can find on the official Tailwind website. Then we also have a height of 20. This corresponds to 80 pixels. And the text should be white on this dark background. So text dash white. Save this file. Let's have a first look at the page. So to open this file in the browser, we just drag and drop it into the browser. And here we see our header temporarily. So we have a dark gray header bar with a height of 80 pixels and the text is white. So the next step is to position the logo and the navigation next to each other. And we're using the flex class for this. So back to the code. So here we add flex. Okay, save this file. Let's have a look. So to position the items now center vertically, we add the class items center. So in here, items dash center. And to position them now on the left and right hand side of the page, you write justify dash between. Alright, let's have a look. Nice. Now let's add some padding as well. Padding is P, so P-8. That would add a padding around the objects, but we only need it left and right. So this is the x-axis and we write Px-8. Alright, save, refresh the page, and here we are. Nice.
Nice.
Now let's have a look at the logo itself. So the logo is a link. So we add an A element here. So A, and the link has a href attribute, which stands for hypertext reference. So let's add href equals. It basically means the URL address we're sending the user to when he clicks this element. Let's keep it empty for now. And within this A element, we have two other elements. We have for one the logo text. We put it in a span element. Awesome. And let's include now an icon as well. So I'm getting now an icon from an icon library called icons8. We can get this fire heart from there. So let's go to icons8. There we go. And here I'm looking for fire heart. Then within all styles, I select simple small to get a very minimal version of it. And there we have fire heart. So to include it in our page, we click the download button here. But we are actually not downloading it, we're just linking it to this page. So we choose the link CDN here. And we choose 64 by 64. Now let's copy the HTML and back to our code. And we insert the code here. Alright, let's save the file, let's have a look. Refresh the page. And we can see here the black icon is on the page. Now let's change it to white, position it left to the text, and also adjust the size. So to make it white, we have to add a color to this icon. We can just add the color to the URL link directly. So after the 64 slash, we add here the color in code. So the hexadecimal color code for white is 6 times the F. So we just add FFF slash. That will make our logo white now. There we go. Now let's add some classes to the A tag here. So we want to position them next to each other. So we add the class flex, items, center. We can also add a gap between those elements. So we write gap -1. Now let's also resize the icon. I get rid of width and height here and add instead a class. So class h-8. Save, let's have a look. Alright, we are almost there. I just want to move the icon a little bit up. So I'm adding here the class mt-1. So mt stands for margin top, and -1 would move it down a little bit, but I would like to move it up, so I reverse it with minus in front. So this will move it up now for 4 pixels. Save this file, let's have a look. There we go. Perfect. Now we're done with the logo. Let's move over to the navigation now. Let's first add our navigation items. So the navigation is a list of links. So we add a UL element. UL. And in this UL we have a bunch of LI elements. We add them straight as links. So we add the A tag, A, and then we add our empty href attribute. There we go. And our first link is home. Now let's copy this line and we add the next link, which is create post. And the next one is the username Bart, like that. Now to make these links be positioned next to each other, we add again the flex class. And the item center. Alright, let's have a look. It's looking good so far. Let's add now a padding and the hover state. If you look at our template, we have a hover state in a lighter gray color. Let's add that now. So let's go to our first element here. We add first a padding. So class equals P for padding -4. That gives a nice padding all around. Then we add the hover state. So we write hover colon. This class will only be active when the user hovers this element. So we add here a lighter gray background. So BG gray 700. And we also display the box with rounded corners. So we add the class rounded dash, and here we can add LG for large. So save, let's have a look. And the hover state is here. Perfect. Now let's add this hover state to the other links. So instead of copying and pasting these classes to the other elements now, I will add it to the parent UL element. So I'm copying all its classes and I'm adding them here. There we go. Now I can get rid of the classes here. But here we have to add now a selector, so it will select the A element in this block. So we write in square brackets the & sign. This represents the current element, so the UL element. Then we add the greater than symbol. Here we find the LI element. And we have to go one level deeper, and we target now the A. We close it with a square bracket now, and we add a colon. So now this padding class is applied to our A element. Alright, let's add this expression now to our other classes. So the hover state has already a colon here, so we need to move the hover state inside the square bracket. So let's do that now. Cut and paste it in here. Okay, and then let's add this one another time to the rounded class as well. Alright, save the file. Let's check it out. Refresh the page. And the styles are now applied to all the links now. Nice. So to clean up the UL element, we could move those classes now in a CSS style sheet and create a custom class for it. Let's do that now. In the head, we add style. And because we're dealing here with TailwindCSS classes, we have to add here the type. So type equals text / TailwindCSS. Now the style sheet knows that you're dealing with TailwindCSS classes here. So let's add now our custom class. I call it nav items. So dot for class, nav items. And now to apply the TailwindCSS classes to this custom class, we just write add apply. Now we can cut those classes from here and paste them in here. And we add the nav items class to our UL. Now we can also get rid of this declaration here and add it directly to our class. So let's do that now. Greater sign li, greater sign a. We can get rid of this code here, this code here. However, here we have to add the hover state, so hover colon, and this one here. Save. Let's check. Looking good. Let's add now a profile picture to Bart. So let's find an icon in our library. Let's search for Bart. And I'm using here all styles. There we go. Download. Again, I'm choosing the link. 96 by 96. Copy HTML. Back to our code. So in here, I add the image. The image should sit next to the name. So we add the flex class again. Flex items center. And I add a gap of 2. Then here I add some classes to the image itself. I give it a height of 8. Then I want this element to be rounded. So I say rounded and this time full. So it's gonna be a circle. Then I want the image in the circle to fill out the whole space. The class for this is object cover. And I will also apply a background color. So BG teal with the shade of 200. Alright, save the file. Let's check it out. Nice, we have an avatar image now. One thing we can notice here is that this element has a taller hoverbox, and this is because we are applying a padding here. We can fix that by changing it to a fixed height. So here in our nav items, we can apply the padding only left and right. So we say px-4 and we declare here a height of 12, h-12. Now we can also add those classes to our style sheet. So let's cut them from here and paste them in our style sheet. There we go, we can get rid of the class attribute here. Save the file and let's have a look. Refresh the page. And there we go. We have the same hover states on all the links. Nice. So now I am also including a little expand arrow icon here to visualize to the user that this is actually a drop-down. The drop-down elements we will implement later on in this series when we add Alpine.js to the site. So for now, let's just add this arrow icon. We grab it again from the icons 8 library. Let's search for an expand arrow icon. I'm choosing here the simple small again. So the first one here looks great. Download, CDN link, great, 64 by 64 is fine. Copy HTML. And we include it here after Bart. Like that. Again, I'm adding here my own classes. So class with a width of 4. And I also changed the color because at the moment it's black. I'm adding again a gray. So 6 times the 7. And slash. Alright, save. Let's have a look. And the error is here. Nice. So the last thing I will add for this header bar is the sticky class, so the header will always be placed on top of the page. So for this, in our header element, we add the class sticky. And we also add top -0. This is the position, so at the very top. And we also add a Z index, which describes the layer where this element is placed. So let's place it at Z index 50. So Z-50. Save this file. And here we go. Our header bar is finished. This is all for now. In the next video, we will look into the hero section. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.